Hello and welcome to this week's vlog. This is episode 20 of the Bikini Chronicles. It is Tuesday morning today. I've just finished my first lot of cardio. So cardio got increased yesterday to twice a day, 1 hour in the morning, 20 minutes post-workout or in the evening whenever I want. Food has remained the same, but just finished bashing that out and I'm away to shower. But this week's vlog is going to be all about the psychological strategies that I've used this year as an applied psychologist that have helped me get through this prep, which is why I'm commenting on cardio to begin with, because that takes a heck of a lot of mindset strength. But anyway, off to shower and let's get into this vlog. Post cardio seems to be a good time for me to record these. It's Wednesday evening. I've just finished my second load of cardio for the day. Didn't think I would manage it. I mean, I knew I was gonna, but oh my days, I felt exhausted today. Very, very, very tired. I finished work at 7:30 and I still had like 3,500 steps to get and about 20 minutes of cardio to do, but it's done now, so I'm happy about that. But before I probably get into the nitty-gritty of this vlog, I just want to say that the way that I'm going to base the vlog and kind of like the way that I'm going to explain the psychological skills that I've used throughout this prep to get me through and sort of how I've implemented them, it's based around the framework that I use actually in therapy, which is called acceptance and commitment therapy. Now, I'm not going to get too bogged down with the details, but essentially what the aim of this therapy modality is to help people create psychological flexibility as opposed to psychological rigidity. And that's done across a spectrum of things that can be kind of represented as either what we call a hexaflex or a hexagon or a triangle. So I'm going to put the triangle up here, what we call the triflex, on the screen for you to see. And essentially the skills and tips that I'm going to share with you in this vlog relate very much to the different elements of the triflex. All the different elements of acceptance and commitment therapy and how I've been able to apply them to myself in order to push myself through prep. Today I am 10 days out and seems appropriate to start really talking about how I've done it so far and how I'm going to continue to do this, because 10 days out to my first show, but the season ends on the 18th of December, so still a while to go.
What does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Ooh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up.
Okay, so time to record the main portion of this vlog. This isn't quite how I envisioned recording it, to be honest, but this week has been incredibly challenging, very, very, very mentally tough. And I just kept putting off picking up the camera. I was like, I just can't be bothered, because I was just so focused on trying to get everything else done and just like trying to make it through the week. But we're here now, so it's time to dig in and unpack the different psychological techniques that I've been using this prep to basically get me through. So thinking back to the triflex that I introduced in the previous clip, the main things that I've been relying on personally have been acceptance and diffusion. So the experience of the process of opening up. Now, what these two things mean, and they are quite intertwined, is simply being prepared for, I suppose, like the experience of prep to come at me, if that makes sense. Now, I know it sounds a bit like hippy-dippy or a bit wishy-washy, but bear with me for a second. So the process of diffusion, all that really means is that you try and create some space between your thoughts and your feelings. So for example, on hard days where I notice myself having a particular thought around like, oh my gosh, this is so hard, rather than fixating on that thought and literally fusing with it, so like having it come right up into my face, the process of diffusion allows me to just create a bit of distance between that thought and where I'm positioned. So ways that you do that, or ways that I do it, is simply by acknowledging that I'm noticing that I'm having this thought, and already, rather than saying like, oh my god, I'm so tired, oh my god, I don't think I can do my hour of cardio, by not reframing it, but by simply saying, oh, you know what, I'm noticing that I'm having the thought that cardio is going to be really hard today. That just creates that space, because the thing is that it's not about reframing the thought or saying, oh, actually, what is this based on evidence? Like, I'm not going to argue with the thought, because guess fucking what, like 60 minutes of cardio is really, really hard. So rather than trying to reframe the thought into something that is not necessarily true, or that I'm not going to believe, because I'm like, well, I've done 60 minutes of cardio before, like I know it's hard. By diffusing from it and by creating some distance between the thought and me, I can actually do then what needs to be done, because I'm not so fixated on like, oh my god, it's so hard, oh my god, it's so hard. I'm just saying, oh, you know what, I'm noticing that this is really challenging today, or I'm noticing that I'm having the feeling that this is really challenging today, and I can still do it, and I can still push myself through the process. Well, that's annoying. I started recording this and then my acid delivery arrived, so I'm not too sure where I left off, but I was speaking about diffusion and about how rather than fixating on a thought or trying to change a thought, or like try to disprove a particular thought that isn't helpful, such as fuck my life, this is hard, isn't necessarily practical when like the reality is that it is hard. So actually just creating a bit of distance between that thought and myself and where I'm at has been a much more practical approach. And obviously, because I use this in my therapeutic approach when I work with clients, then applying it to myself also gives me I suppose a bit more practice with the technique, practice with implementing it, and just lived experience of like how I find it. And tied into that diffusion process is acceptance. And I think like this is the main point that I wanted to make, is that at the end of the day, prep is hard. And if you go into prep thinking that you're going to try and make it easy, you've lost already. So in order to win at the start line, what you need to go in thinking is almost like accepting that whatever comes will come, and that you literally cannot control the difficulties that come your way. So for example, if you accept from the get-go that you are going to be hungry, you then don't try to avoid hunger. And that's something that's been pretty different for me this year, especially. In other years, I was a lot more reliant. Like I was buying, you know, the fucking skinny sauces. I was having so many diet drinks a day, like loads of squash, loads of like Diet Coke and flavored water, fucking 10-calorie jellies, which are absolutely fine to have. Like they're great prep hacks, but I think I was trying to avoid being hungry on prep, whereas actually this year I've just gone, well, you know what, it's just gonna, like, it is what it is. And it's also changed like my approach around things. Like before I was a lot more like in with it, if it fits your macros approach. Like on weekends I would always eat different stuff, or like I'd go out my way to try and find like low calorie ice cream and I'd try and fit it in my macros and stuff. Whereas this time I've just been like, well, I'm just gonna accept that prep is prep, and I'm just gonna kind of take it and eat as I normally would, like not change as many things to try and get around being hungry. And honestly, that has been so transformative, because I've not been fixated about food. I've just been honestly and I know I'm 16 weeks in to dieting. I've got 8 weeks until I finish prep, and by the end I'm sure I'll be a lot more like thinking about food a lot more. But up until now, because I've just been like, well, I'm just going to be eating this way for the next few months, it is what it is. Just the process of accepting that has allowed me to then create that distance by saying, you know what, I'm just going to accept that this is the way it's going to be. And then it just allows you to welcome those feelings a little bit more. And it's not open arms embrace, oh my god, I love feeling hungry, I love feeling drained so much. It's more just like, well, I accept that this is just part of the process, and I'm not going to try and change it, I'm not going to try and avoid it, I'm not going to try and get around it, I'm just going to let it be. And by then letting it be, again, it allows you to create that distance, because you're not like, fuck, I'm trying to, oh my god, I'm so hungry, I'm so fixated on being hungry, I'm so fixated on all the foods that I can't eat. You just accept that it is what it is. And when you accept that it is what it is, it's almost like you let it go, and all these thoughts and feelings, even though they're there, they just have a lot less power over you. So that's been an incredibly helpful technique. If we then move on to the other part of the triflex, which is around kind of being present. Obviously there's something that I talk about all the time, like mindfulness and the likes of it, but that again has been a technique that I have been able to rely on again this prep. So particularly around being present, the way I've personally implemented that is just focusing on what is in front of me in the here and now. Previous preps I would, and still now again, and all these processes tie in, so you'll see what I mean, but previous preps I'd maybe go into the gym away to train legs, and then I'd already be thinking about like how hard it was going to be to do cardio after, and how I couldn't be bothered with posing, and how I couldn't be bothered with steps, and how this and that, and I was just always thinking like a step ahead. Whereas this time I've been a lot better able to catch those thoughts, or to notice those thoughts coming back to that diffusion, and to just bring myself back to the here and now, and think, okay, well, what's actually in front of me? Like, what do I actually need to do now in order to see myself move forward? And again, that's been something else that has helped, particularly like longer cardio sessions, or when I am in the gym and I've just done a really hard set of, I don't know, like hip thrusts. If I start to think, oh my gosh, I've still got this, and I've still got that, and I've still got all these other things to do, it just makes it so much harder to contend with. Whereas actually just being in the here and now and saying, okay, well, what am I focusing on? I'm focusing on this set right now. How many reps do I need to hit? What do I need to do? How can I execute? What are my cues? Boom, and you just kind of get through it. A lot more about just like being in the moment, and again, tying back to what I was saying before about acceptance and diffusion, like being in the moment, opening up to the experience of like, okay, yeah, this is hard, but like I'm noticing that I'm having these thoughts that it's hard, and I'm noticing that I'm having the thought that this is gonna suck, and guess what, like I'm not gonna try and avoid it. I'm just gonna be here with that thought. I'm gonna create a bit of distance, and I'm just gonna go and do it anyway, which ties into the next point around that sort of being present, which is a lot of self-awareness, and it's something that I speak about all the time, and the way that we talk about self-awareness in acceptance and commitment therapy, it's called self as context, or the noticing self, which is a bit fancy. All it really means is that you have moments, or you try and find moments where you can step back and you can notice yourself noticing yourself. So I suppose I kind of imagine it for me personally like a stage playing out, and that's kind of all the things on the stage of my life and everything that matters to me, and I'm just stepping back watching it happen, and I'm noticing myself sitting there watching my life unfold in front of me. Now what that allows me to do is almost like detach from my sense of self, and what I mean by that is that going into this prep, I felt a lot of pressure from myself. Obviously it's my third season going in, I've taken a long off season, we've had COVID in between, but also pressure because I'm now a coach. I'm now kind of putting myself out there. I knew I was going to be documenting this. I knew there was going to be perhaps more people following my journey than previously, and I didn't want to feel that pressure so much that I was super fixated on like, oh my god, I need to show up as this particular type of person. People have this expectation of who I am. People have this expectation of what I'm going to do, how I'm going to behave. I just wanted to be me, and I wanted to enjoy the process for myself, because that's who I'm doing this for, really. It's because I fucking enjoy this process. And so allowing myself to have those moments where I step back and notice myself, noticing myself, means that I've felt a lot more able to be transparent about my journey on the likes of Instagram, like actually sharing all the good and the bad stuff, like just vocalizing it. I've felt less pressure from clients. Not that my clients would ever put any pressure on me, but I've not felt like, oh my god, I need to do well for them, or what if I disappoint my clients, or what if I don't do well, what are people going to think? It's been a lot more about like, oh, well, I'm just going to do my best. And it goes for both the good and the bad. Even in my sense of like, am I making improvements or not? Like, you don't want to attach to any idea that you have of yourself. You want to be able to have a distance between who you perceive yourself to be and actually who you really are. And what I mean by that is that if I go in saying with my concept of self being like, oh my god, I'm shit, like I've not made any improvements, I'm so disappointed in myself, like I need to change, this has to happen, blah blah, then again those sorts of feelings are really up in my face, and they don't allow me to do what matters, because I'm so focused and they're taking all my attention that I can't focus on well, if I'm telling myself that I'm shit, I can't focus on doing my best when I'm posing, doing my best when I'm doing my cardio, doing my best when I'm training. And the same goes if I go in thinking, I don't give a fuck, like I'm a fucking bee's knees. That would also lead me to maybe not put as much into it. If I keep telling myself that I'm fucking great, that is also potentially problematic or unhelpful in this case, where it wouldn't enable me to move forward with my goals. So it's just about creating that awareness seeing yourself, almost like a metaphor I quite like using is almost like the sky and the weather. The weather's everything that's happening around your life, and your thoughts, your feelings, the process, the daily things that you need to do. But you're the sky, and the sky doesn't ever change. Like, it's still like the sky remains the same, but the weather changes all the time. And if you can step back and see yourself, and I know this again sounds very metaphorical and out there, but if you can step back and see yourself as the sky that just kind of like is positioned there, and things are happening and you're engaging and you're dipping in and out, but you remain the same and you kind of stay as that constant, it just provides you a much more better sense of groundedness, I suppose, and sense of sort of being here in the moment and being able to enjoy the process, because prep goes by so fucking fast. Like, some days are really hard, but it's honestly, it's over so quickly, and it'll be a hot minute till I step back again on stage after this year's season. So I want to be able to be in the moment and enjoy every minute of the process, both the good and the bad, because that's what I signed up for. So that kind of being present and seeing myself there and having that self-awareness and making sure that I'm not lost in worry and like spiraling thoughts, because I can make space for those thoughts and I can be there with them. That's been really, really helpful this year. And finally, something that I've spoken about plenty before, which comes back to kind of what acceptance and commitment therapy is, the acronym being ACT, because it's about doing stuff. And I've spoken a lot about value-informed goals and making sure that the things that you do are in alignment with your values, and this is exactly what that means. Being able to identify my values and know what my values are is one of the main things that propels me then forward to complete something like a contest prep, because I know what matters to me, and I've spoken about this before, things like personal growth, development, learning, being honest with myself, that level of integrity, all those things are really, really important. And being able to identify those values and being able to tie them to the process of prep, or see how completing a prep contributes to me being able to fulfill those values, or to me being able to live my life in a way that is more aligned with those values. That's been incredibly helpful, because that's what I fall back on the days that are really hard. I've actually put up a post about it yesterday on Instagram, and saying that, some days I have been really miserable this week, and in previous vlogs, as you've seen. And in those moments where I'm really attaching to that thought of like, oh my God, this is horrendous, I just laugh at myself and think, well, you could stop. Like, no one's holding a gun to your head. Like, you can literally stop whenever you want. And then I go, oh, actually, yeah, but I don't want to do that, because actually the process of, I'm not suffering as a martyr, but the process of struggling through those days and making it through those days and showing yourself that you are capable of doing that, that's what matters to me. That's something that I really value. And in this case, I'm just in a moment in my life where that value gets fulfilled by completing the prep, if that makes sense. And tied into values, obviously, is the committed action. So knowing what matters and doing what matters off the back of it, irrespective of the challenging thoughts and feelings that you might have, irrespective of the worries that might emerge in your mind. That's what this is really about. It's about doing what matters, even if life around you is chaotic or life is happening around you. Because the thing is that we all have this illusion of control. We all think that we can control our thoughts. We think we can control our feelings, and we say, oh, I wish I could stop myself from feeling this shit, or I wish I could stop myself from feeling this sad. The thing is that you can't. You just can't stop that stream of consciousness in your mind. You can't stop the thoughts that pop into your brain. It's literally like if I told you, oh, just go and delete a memory, you'd be like, eh. And it's exactly the same thing. Like, you cannot stop your thoughts and your feelings from happening. And I personally think that this is a much more helpful approach, or a much more healthy approach, at least for me, or certainly in the work that I do with my clients, is rather than trying to delete those thoughts, trying to reframe those thoughts, depending on the case, of course. It's a lot more helpful to just let the thoughts be, just let them be there. And know that even with some of those challenging thoughts, you can still do the things that matter to you. So even if you feel like nothing inside you, like you've got no energy inside you, and everything's really hard and you're really hungry, you can still choose to say do your cardio in the case of prep. So please, I mean, and I'm applying this to prep, so please don't extrapolate it and apply it to context in which obviously that mindset would not be helpful. It's very, very specific here. But yeah, it's everything around this is just building up that psychological flexibility. That means that when shit does hit the fan, or when things do get hard, because things have been hard, and it's not just prep, it's, you know, you're working, you know, I'm completing my qualification in psychology, I have to go to the gym, I have to do my steps, I have to manage and maintain my relationships that I value, I have to do all these other things, which I love doing, but it's so much more. And when all the chaos of life is going on, if you imagine it all as like a sea, and it's all kind of, the waves are going up and down, and then there's calm, and then there's mentalness, it's about finding that space within you that you can come back to and say, okay, well, I can't control how things pan out. I can't control who shows up on the fucking day of the show. Never mind how I wake up feeling one day that I have to, you know, I can't control whether I'll be hungry or not. I know I will be hungry, so I have to accept it. All these different processes of psychological flexibility have just made this prep very, very, very different so far. Obviously there's the other context of like actually working in the industry, actually this being my life right now, being in a very different position, both financially, kind of, like I said, work-wise. In the last prep I was a student. There's just so many things that are different. I've got more experience, you know, so that has impacted on it, but like the nuance and the psychology of it for me has just been imperative, and it not imperative, but it's been so crucial to making the process a lot more, I suppose, enjoyable, and a lot more introspective, and a lot more, almost like I feel like I'm getting more out of it, because I am kind of being quite mindful of the process going into it. And it's also been great to be able to apply the therapeutic mentality that I use with my clients in psychology, in my applied exercise psychology work. It's been great to be able to learn it and then like apply a lot of those skills with myself, because then that gives me, I suppose, like I said earlier, that lived experience of being able to feed it back to clients, or being able to relate to clients' experience, and being able to, you know, practice different techniques with myself and see, actually, does this work? Or maybe would a different approach be more helpful here, such as, you know, cognitive behavioral therapy, whatever it might be. So that's kind of been what's helped me in this process so far. I hope that was interesting for you to learn about. I think it's a bit like a psychoeducation blended with like my own process of prep. I'm currently, as of time of recording, 1 week out. It is Sunday today, Sunday the 24th. I want to say it's Sunday 24th. I had a refeed yesterday, which was glorious, and cardio got dropped to just 30 minutes. So the reason this week's been so challenging is because I've been doing cardio twice a day, 60 minutes faster in the morning and then 20 minutes post-workout. My steps were increased. It was hard. Like it was fucking hard. But we got through it, you know, and it's with that mindset of like, okay, if I can do 1 minute, can I do 2? Can I do 3? Can I just accept that this is going to be difficult, and can I still do it anyway, because it matters to me. Like, I value this, I value the process. But yeah, so I'm 1 week out right now. I feel good because today's rest day, and my cardio was again, like after yesterday's refeed, kept cardio just at 30 minutes in the morning, and I'm getting a bit more food, which has been a blessing too. So yeah, I actually have the energy to pick up the camera and record this because I've been putting it off all week. But anyway, I'll stop rambling. I hope you found this useful. Next vlog is probably going to be like a show day vlog, but I honestly don't know when I'm going to upload, when I'm going to have the energy to do so, because I have a lot of work coming up. This is my last normal Sunday for a month, which is fucking crazy to think about. But honestly, thank you so much for watching the vlogs. I hope you've enjoyed the prep series so far. If you have been watching all the vlogs as we've gone along, 16th week of dieting at the moment, and gosh, it's almost like, yeah, I feel like I'm at the end of the first chunk of the process, but at the beginning of the like actual process itself, if that makes sense. Probably doesn't, but anyway. The next 2 weeks I've got 3 show days back to back. So next week I've got WNBF Supernaturals on the 31st of October in Birmingham. The week after I've got the 2 bros shows. So I'm doing 2 shows in one day. The JT, what's it called? The JT Grand Prix, something like that. And then the naturals show in the afternoon, both 2 bros, same venue, everything. And then the week after I'm doing the PCA Open show, and then I'll have a 2-week break, 2 bros finals, and then I've got a 3-week break and I'm competing in France in December, but in between there I've got a photo shoot. So that's the plan. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy watching this vlog back, I think, because I have no idea what's about to come. But I'm really afraid, I'm very excited, and whatever happens, it's been an incredible process so far, and I love prep, and I love learning everything that comes with it, the challenges, and it's been awesome to be able to share it. I think for me, even like from a very selfish perspective, being able to vocalize a lot of these thoughts has been very cathartic. So anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to watch these vlogs and to listen to my rambles. I hope you found this vlog interesting. If you did, please make sure you give it a like. Let me know if you'd like to see a bit more psychology content in the vlogs. I think I'd like to do that a bit more kind of in my next off season, but as always, needs and demand and all of that shit. So if you enjoy it, let me know. If you've got any questions, also let me know, and I'll catch everybody in the next vlog, which is going to be a show day vlog. I don't fucking know what it's going to be, man, so it's exciting. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch everybody in the next one. Bye for now.